before there was the MIDI, and he said came about in 1983. Those of you who are here in 1984 for the first TED conference saw and heard Herbie Hancock, a year after the MIDI first came out, spend 2 hours here one evening, compose a piece of music on the MIDI, just a year after it came out. But before there was a MIDI and a Moog and a this and a that, there was this strange instrument. This is the first, I believe, of all the electronic instruments. And Pamela Kirsten is probably one of the very few people that still play it. It was invented by a man in Russia, if I believe. There was a whole either Discovery Channel or A&E documentary on the invention of this instrument. And she is one of the most astute players of this instrument in the world, Pamela Kirsten.
I think it's cool.
most of you know who he is.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm like, calm down and get back into my body now. Usually when I play out, the first thing that happens is people scream out, "What's she doing?" I'll play at these rock shows, I'll be on stage standing completely still, just, and they're like, "What's she doing? What's she doing?" And then I'll just kind of be like, "Woo!" And then they're like, "Whoa!" And it's I'm sure if you're trying to figure out, how does this thing work? Well, what I'm doing is controlling the pitch with my left hand. So the closer I get to this antenna, the higher the note gets. Do you need really loud? And with this hand, I'm controlling the volume. So the further away my right hand gets, the louder it gets. So basically with both of your hands, you're controlling pitch and volume and kind of trying to create the illusion that you're doing separate notes when really it's continuously going. But sometimes I startle myself. I'll forget that I have it on, and I'll lean over to pick up something, and then it's like, oh, and it's like a funny sound effect that follows you around if you don't turn the thing off. Maybe we'll go into the next tune because I've totally lost words at this moment. We're going to do a song by David Mash called "Listen, the Words Are Gone," and maybe I'll have words come back into me afterwards so I can relax. So, trying to think of some of the questions that are commonly asked. There are so many, and well, I guess I could tell you a little of the history of the theremin. It was invented around the 1920s, and the inventor, Leon Theremin, he also was a musician besides an inventor. He kind of came up with the idea for making the theremin, I think, when he was working on some shortwave radios, and there'd be that sound in the signal. It's like, and he thought, oh, what if I could control that sound and turn it into an instrument, because there are pitches in it. And so somehow, through developing that, he eventually came to make the theremin the way it is now. And a lot of times, even kids nowadays, they'll make reference to a theremin by going, ooh, because in the 50s it was used in the sci-fi horror movies, that sound that's like, ooh. It's, it's kind of a fun, goofy sound to do. And sometimes if I have too much coffee, my vibrato gets out of hand. You're really sensitive to your body and its functions when you're behind this. You have to stay so still if you want to have the most control. It reminds me of the balancing act earlier on, what Michael was doing, because you're fighting so hard to keep the balance with what you're playing with and stay in tune. And at the same time, you don't want to focus so much on, being in tune all the time. You want to be feeling the music. And then also you're trying to stay very, very, very still, because little movements with other parts of your body will affect the pitch, or sometimes if you're holding a low note, and breathing, will make it. So if I pass out on the next song. But it's definitely I think of it almost like it's kind of like a yoga instrument, because it makes you so aware of every little crazy thing your body is doing, or just aware of what you don't want it to be doing while you're playing. You don't want to have any sudden movements. And if I go to a club and play a gig, people are like, here, have some drinks on us. And it's like, well, I'm about to go on soon. I don't want to be like, and, it really does reflect the mood that you're in also. It's similar to being a vocalist, except instead of it coming out of your throat, you're controlling it just in the air, and you don't really have a point of reference. You're always relying on your ears and adjusting constantly. You just have to always adjust to what's happening and realize you'll have bummer notes come here and there, and to listen to it, adjust, and then just move on, or else you'll get too tied up and go crazy. Like me. Maybe we'll play another tune now? We're going to do Lush Life. It's one of my favorite tunes to play.
Can you turn this around?
Turn this around so you can get a peek of what's going on back here. Well, this theremin actually, what's special about it is it looks like one of the old ones, but it's actually only a few years old, and it's a MIDI theremin, so you can actually plug it up to different keyboards. Or one thing that I'm excited about working on very soon is having the MIDI on it control visuals, so that something can happen visually with colors and light while the music is happening, and it would all be controlled without touching anything. That would be kind of a magical thing. And
Okay, thank you.
oh yeah, if you have any other questions, I'm here all week, so you can ask me things, or if there's
She's
a
the
place
second member of the Museum of the Cute. Natalie McMaster is the first member of that. You don't know Natalie, but they're both charter members of that museum. And Natalie will be here on Saturday. Natalie McMaster, you remember her from last year. She'll be here Saturday morning. Okay, thank you very much. And Gary told me of this amazing program that he saw, and we tracked it down. I tracked it down, got to Mark at IBM, and what I've seen when it was sent to me over my computer, I thought was astonishing. Bless you, or whatever's going on back there. Anyway, Mark Podesek. Hi.
About 2 years ago, Philip Glass told me that he was interested in putting his entire catalog of compositions online. And so that started me thinking on how people navigate music online. And it kind of sucks. You kind of, the way it generally works now is you start by having to make a decision where to go. And you're given a couple choices, like in this case might be classical or jazz or country. And a lot of times you really don't care. You're just looking for something that you want to hear. But you make an arbitrary decision anyway because you want to get to something. And so okay, we'll pick classical, say. And now it's, okay, 18th, 19th, or 20th century. Again, I'm not sure if I really care, but I'll pick one. And so it goes. It's one damn thing after another. Until you finally get to the piece of music, you finally get to a piece of music, and generally turns out, well, that's not exactly what I was looking for. So you start covering this space, and you end up looking at spending a huge amount of time in these big yellow areas, and very little time in the area you want to be, which is in the bottom, which is the music. So we started thinking of, how can you spend your time down here without having to make all these arbitrary decisions at the top? And it seemed natural to start, if you could treat this as a spectrum, and you begin navigating up and down the spectrum, that would be kind of cool. But the question was, what is the spectrum? Is it the titles from A to Z? Is it the year it was composed? Is it how long it is, or how many instruments are in it? And so so we thought was, well, why just pick one? Why not have a bunch of spectra and graph the compositions along all these various characteristics? That being said, let's see if I can unmute. So what we got here is this first bar, the blue bar, which currently is selected, we're plotting all the compositions from A to Z on this bar, and the yellow slits represent each yellow slit represents a composition, and so this white line down the middle basically represents your focus, and so the way it works, should work, is you can just treat this thing as a moving cursor, and so where's Einstein on the beach? Here it is. So you might have noticed that as I move the title bar, that all the other bars move as well, because on each other bar, we're graphing all the same works, except just along different characteristics. So you can just as easily go down to the year and start with early work. And we can actually start moving up. And what we kind of liked about this is, instead of having to go to something and saying, okay, now play it, it just plays it, right? So we don't have to say, okay, Einstein on the beach, sounds good, play. It's just playing. What a concept. So these are the works on the top here, and then down the bottom here, we break up the works into all their various components. And we're calling them tracks, just for the sake of simplicity. And so we can navigate Einstein linear, if we're so minded, and just go through. Just advance like you would on a CD. Or we could say, well, let's start at the least happy piece and move up in Einstein. What's at the end here? Question. This is kind of controversial, but this one actually contains a lot of joy and a lot of sorrow, which is why. So let's go down to the next one. What's that? Okay. So we might say, okay, I like this characteristic. Down here, and these are all the sections from all the works down here. And so now we're just navigating globally instead of locally. Thank you. So I think the idea here is that we're not really forcing you to make decisions. We're asking you to find affinities. So we can find, a lot of people might want something that's happy, and somebody might ask, what are the intense pieces? And you're not penalized by shutting other pieces out. They're still here. It's just that you can just get to them in a different way. So that's the browsing. So we've kind of gone through the standard search and then kind of freeform browsing. If you want to form a complex query, we can say, I want something intense. Let's say intense and happy. Filter out, and you can see the pieces start getting filtered out here. And let's make sure there's no sorrow in it, just in case. So this is what's left, and then we can start and then let's navigate by starting with the slowest one. So, no good. So the idea is that as you interact with this, that you will iteratively kind of personalize the musical space till you find a set of music that you're comfortable with at a given moment. And ideally, you'd be able to press shuffle and just play all the things that are left. So that's pretty much the way it works. There's for. Thank you. What's left? Let me just give you one more. So, are you done? Am I done? Can I tell you one more thing? Okay.
You have one more thing to do, or what?
Okay.
Tell me.
I'd like to. We're adding about 10 more dimensions, and so. But that.
Now, is it all going to be on Philip Glass?
It's all on philipglass.com with one L. Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're coming to the end of our first half day. We're going to have a song from Jill. We're going to go downstairs, and there's going to be some champagne, some Bombay Sapphire, mixed drinks, and some caviar for not for dinner, but for, I hope, an elaborate and beautiful toast for our first evening. And in this first evening, I would like to just dedicate it in a very positive way as I can to a number of the people who have been here and are no longer here. And just recently, one of the great Tedsters, Stanley Marcus, passed away at 96. And his daughter and, no, his son and daughter-in-law are here. I don't know if any other parts of his family here. And his daughter. I miss him, and I miss the amazing speech he gave at Ted Cell. And I remember him coming up. He wasn't a spring chicken then. And I remember him coming up the stairs, and I said, "Stanley, don't fuck this up. It'll make you famous." He was about 92 then, I guess. And he was just terrific. And many people refer to that speech. Jonas Salk gave his last speech here. And we had Pete Conrad here in the audience, not giving a speech before he died shortly after that. Third man on the moon died shortly after that in a motorcycle accident. There was one other person I had written down. What?
They're on the screen.
Oh, they're on the screen. Oh, there it is. Everybody's too efficient. Muriel Cooper, and we all remember her speech here, or a number of people remember it, which was the first time and the only time she put together the Flying Through information presentation, and passed away shortly after that. So we go into this evening but positive for the memories of some amazing people, and it's all sort of brought in by Stanley's very, very recent death. He was going to tried to get here last year, and they'll all be remembered. And I don't mean that as a maudlin thing. And Jill, you're going to cheer us up, I hope. Jill Sabul.
Hi. I'm going to talk, I know this has been on music, and I'm going to play a song about the music industry, and it's personal, and it's called Bitter. I could slip, I could fall in that mean and awful hall with the other jealous bitches and the bitter grumbling men. I could sneer, I could glare, say that life is so unfair. And the one who made it 'cause her breasts were really big. Well, I don't wanna get bitter, I don't wanna turn cruel, I don't wanna get old before I have to. I could bitch, I could moan, say I wanna be left alone. But that's not really true, because I like my time with you. Till you rant and you rave, wishing fat fuckers to their grave. I feel sorry for them. You say they get what they deserve. Well, I don't wanna get bitter. I don't wanna turn cruel. I don't wanna get old before I have to. And I don't wanna get jaded, petrified and waited. I don't wanna get bitter like you. Like you with the darts in your eyes. You with disdain for mankind. I was charmed, now I wonder. I don't wanna get bitter. I don't wanna turn cruel. I don't wanna get old before I have to. So the last verse has a really nice sentiment, but in the last couple of months I've been doing the kind of mean and cranky one. Should I do the nicer, mean and cranky one? So I'll smile with the rest, wishing everyone the best. And know the one who made it 'cause she's a slutty mouseketeer. I don't wanna get bitter. I don't wanna turn cruel. I don't wanna get old before I have to. And I don't wanna get jaded, petrified and waited. I don't wanna get bitter like you. Oh, I don't wanna get bitter. I don't wanna turn cruel. I don't wanna get old before I have to. I don't wanna get jaded, petrified or waited. I don't wanna get bitter like you.
One short one. One short, one other. You can all bear an encore, I think.
What should I do? Okay.
Sometimes I wish that I was an angel, a fallen angel who visits your dreams. And in those dreams I'd blow you a message that says you really want me. Sometimes I wish that I was a wrestler, a Mexican wrestler in a red vinyl mask, and I might grab you and body slam you and maybe cause physical harm. But when we would land, I might take pity on you. I can crack all your ribs, but I can't break your heart. You will never love me, and this I can't forgive. That you will never love me as long as I will live. Sometimes I wish that I was a beauty beautiful girl who was still 21, and I'd turn your head as well as your buddies, and I could afford to play hard to get. And we'd go to parties and you'd show me off, and I'd go home with someone else. You will never love me, and this I can't forgive, and it will always bug me as long as I will live. You will never love me, and why should I even care? It's not that you're so special, you're just